So usually this will be the place where I'll do TV talks, etc., etc. I'm not doing that for this one. One, because I was planning to do this yesterday, and then because of certain things, I came back at like midnight. I'm like, yeah, I might pass on that idea, even though it is still not. But I still wanted to do at least on 2 days rather than do one for free, which would be tiring. So I'm gonna just do it at this time, which I'm fine with. But I went to see Hercules. First things first, one, I got a couple of things. I got this. It's legit. Actually, it was the wrong way around. It's legitimately 3-dimensional. Also, I'm keeping it on my thing here, so you can't really see it, but it is there. A little thing. I always get this because I like reading about, the cast, because I think it's fun. That was also I learned a bit. Obviously I forgot. And how big does something need to be when it's defined as not a keychain anymore? Also, I know everyone's going to point it out, so I'm just going to just do it for explanation. I'm going to hide it. Yes, I know. I have way too many keychains. I should take some of these off, but I'm choosing not to, so. Anyway, more to the thing. I loved it. A lot of the songs, which I think is the best part, definitely when you get like the muses, I think are so amazing. Do I prefer the music songs than anything else? Yes. The one thing which, the other thing I like, because I think I've said this before, I did technical theatre, so when I noticed, because I looked up for a certain bit, and there were certain things, I'm not going to tell you everything, but when I looked, I was like, wait a second, and I was like, and when you see the movie, I'm like, I think I'm not going to say it, because one, if I'm wrong, I'm not like an idiot, and two, I don't see that being like, that's basically being like what I did to one of my friends who was a TikToker, and I was like, here's how the magic works. It's like, I'm not an expert, and I probably shouldn't have done that to that magic trick, and I'm definitely not going to do that to here. So if you know how that's done, hopefully you talk to people who also want to know that. If people want to comment about that and like talk about that, I'm fine. But I might not say. I know specifically how it's done. But the way it's done is so insane of like how they moved. It's like, also I think I might be a bit off with some parts of it. Anyway, I also like some of the jokes. Definitely when it's like, they had this moment of like where do you think your godly power and good look on? That's right, my mum. It's like, the one thing I'm going to say is I like Greek mythology, hence why I love Hercules. It's interesting, but I do also acknowledge that it is wrong. Not wrong, but like several parts of it aren't exactly correct. So I do know that. I do acknowledge that. And I even talked to certain people where I was like, oh yeah, here's where it's incorrect. So I do know like certain things that how they use Hercules names where most of it is Greek, when Hercules is the Roman name. The other thing I find interesting is because in the Disney movie Hercules, Poseidon is there, you can kind of see him in the background, but in the play it's two brothers. What happened to Poseidon? No? We're not gonna... I know it's mostly for like Hadrian, and I'm completely fine with it. It's completely something that I'm like, yeah, sure, this is actually decent, I'm fine with it. And like having all that there. Obviously certain characters couldn't be done, and we even made jokes. So Phil is human, compared to being, I think, I don't remember the name. I only remember his centaur, but centaur's half horse, half human. He's not bad. He's half goat, half human, because he eats a can in one of the scenes, which is a mythic creature that didn't exist. I also like the idea that one of the things in the set was a shoe where they soldered the arrows, where the sort of statue of the foot was cut off at the heel. if you didn't get it by now, Achilles heel. Da, da, da. There's a couple of other stuff when we were doing the training thing, like there was a head and one of like what looked like a hand. But again, I like Greek history, not an expert. Don't know if I was meant to be referring to other heroes. Like there was one of sort of an arm sort of doing this race, which might be I don't know if it is him, but it's really interesting. I definitely found some of this so fun. The other thing which I also did like was the joke near the beginning where they sort of talked about the blind prophet, and then because of that, saying, I need to tell you something, and Zeus leaving, and it's like, I need to tell you prophecy that may affect Hades. Well, Hades just walks in, and that sort of like staging and how it's all staged, definitely with the pillars moving, is done so amazing. For the longest time, one of my favorite, this would be, I said when I was with my friend, like, I don't know if it beats it, but when I've been thinking about it, it really is so close. So two of my favorite plays that I think had really good setting, one was more minimalist than the other two, like you have Hercules, the other one, and then the other one that I think has a little bit minimalist, is the boy who saw, I don't remember the name, it's something like the boy who saw the dog who's murdered in the moonlight, or something like that, where the set is basically near to nothing, and you have blocks, and you have basically, like one of the scenes is in train, and you just have blocks representing the train, and I think that is a fun idea. Like one of the things is that like the houses are just light up things, and it's really interesting. But I'm going to be honest, these two are definitely better than that one. That one's second place, and these two I think are joint first, which is this and Les Mis. And I know there's going to be a lot of people going to be, I don't know if I'm saying something controversial, but I'm saying Disney's Hercules has equal good like set designs and how that affects the story to Les Mis. I feel like that's a very controversial statement, but I do not disagree. I do think it's that good. Especially where you see like them walking and doing all the stuff with the pillars. It's really fun and really interesting. So yeah. Again, this is just a fun show, fun characters, and definitely really funny. And when you get to the songs, which some of them I think are the ones in the Hercules movies. This is Disney's Hercules. But some of them I think are like, because I don't think there was as many songs as were as they are in Disney's Hercules and later the movie. And one of the things I think, again, it's just really interesting. Definitely with all the different characters, this, and it definitely has so much fun. The only thing that I want to point out, which I find is really interesting, and even in a way, the movie had it correct, is there's even a song about it, and part of the film about it, is that Hades sort of takes these strings of lights and cuts them. I would like to point out the movie at least got that correct, which is Hades doesn't do that. That's sort of like the three people who had one eye, past, present, and future. Again, not the Greek mythology expert, but again, for what this is why I mentioned this, it's for that's interesting, but for what it was, why they three wanted to cut it, I don't know what was mentioned in the movie. Well, why Hades, because they showed it earlier of doing the same thing, Hades sort of cutting it was like, do you know what, makes sense why he wants to do it, and makes sense why he's annoyed why it didn't work. So I kind of do like it. I also like the idea, because you have two other characters representing a pain and panic, because that makes sense. And then one of the lines is, don't panic, or like, we're in pain. But yeah, it's so fun and so exciting. But I hope you enjoy, and good night.